October 29th, 1968. Harlem. Just after midnight. Bumpy Johnson is already dead. But his funeral won't happen for another 4 days. And in those 4 days, 7 men are about to make decisions that will either save them or destroy them. This isn't about grief. It's about survival. Because when a man like Bumpy dies, he doesn't just leave behind a legacy. He leaves behind debts, territory, secrets, and enemies who've been waiting years for this exact moment. 5,000 people will attend his funeral. Photographers, politicians, preachers, street soldiers. The entire neighborhood will shut down to pay respects. But only 7 people know what's actually happening. And one of them is about to betray the others. Here's what nobody tells you about the death of a kingpin. The real war doesn't start at the funeral. It starts the second the body goes cold. October 29th, 1968. St. Luke's Hospital. 1:47 a.m. Bumpy Johnson dies of a heart attack in the hallway outside the Wells restaurant on 7th Avenue. By the time the ambulance arrives, he's gone. No dramatic final words. No shootout. Just a 62-year-old man collapsing in front of a dozen witnesses who scatter the moment they realize who just fell. Within an hour, the phone calls start. Frank Lucas gets the call at his apartment in Teaneck, New Jersey. He doesn't cry. He sits on the edge of his bed and stares at the wall for 11 minutes without moving. Stephanie St. Clair, Bumpy's old partner, now in her 70s, gets the call at her brownstone in Harlem. She hangs up and immediately makes 3 more calls. Nobody knows who she called. Joey Gallo, a Colombo crime family capo in Brooklyn, gets the call from an informant. He smiles. He's been waiting for this. Nicky Barnes gets the call at a card game in the Bronx. He leaves the table without cashing out. And then there's Reggie. Reggie Carter is not famous. He's not powerful. He's a 34-year-old enforcer who worked directly under Bumpy for 9 years. He's the kind of man who collects debts, delivers messages, and makes problems disappear. He gets the call from his cousin, who works as a janitor at St. Luke's. Bumpy's dead. Reggie doesn't hang up. He just stands there in the kitchen of his mother's apartment, holding the receiver, listening to his cousin breathe on the other end. "You still there?" his cousin asks. "Yeah." "You okay?" Reggie doesn't answer. Because he's not thinking about Bumpy. He's thinking about the envelope. The envelope Bumpy gave him 6 months ago. Sealed. With instructions that were very, very clear. "If I die, you open this. You read it. And you do exactly what it says. Nobody else sees it. Not Frank. Not Stephanie. Nobody. You understand me?" Reggie said yes. He's been carrying that envelope in the inside pocket of his jacket every single day since. He's never opened it. Never even been tempted. Until now. He hangs up the phone. His mother is asleep in the next room. His wife is upstairs with their 2 daughters. He walks to the coat closet, pulls out his jacket, and feels the envelope still tucked inside. It's heavier than it should be. He sits down at the kitchen table and tears it open. Inside, there are 2 things. A handwritten letter. 2 pages. Bumpy's unmistakable scrawl. And a single key. Reggie reads the letter twice. By the second time, his hands are shaking. Because what Bumpy is asking him to do will either make him the most trusted man in Harlem, or get him killed before the funeral even happens. October 29th, 1968. 3:14 a.m. Reggie reads the letter a third time. The instructions are simple. Terrifyingly simple. Tomorrow night, October 30th, go to the basement of the Red Rooster on 138th Street. Use the key. Inside the lockbox, you'll find $47,000 in cash in a ledger. The ledger has names. 7 names. These men each owe me. Not money. Something bigger. They owe me their lives, their freedom, or their silence. Your job is to collect. Not the debts. The men. Bring all 7 to my funeral. Make sure they sit together. Front row, left side. If even one of them doesn't show, everything I built falls apart. If all 7 show, you'll understand why. Don't tell them why they're coming. Just make sure they come. And Reggie, if you do this right, you'll be protected. If you don't, you won't live long enough to regret it. Reggie folds the letter and slides it back into the envelope along with the key. He should feel honored. Bumpy trusted him with this. But all he feels is dread. Because he knows some of those 7 names without even looking at the ledger. And getting them all in the same room, alive, is going to be nearly impossible. Reggie Carter is not a leader. He's a soldier. He follows orders. He doesn't ask questions. That's why Bumpy liked him. But Bumpy is dead now. And the people Reggie is about to deal with? They don't take orders from soldiers. October 29th, 1968. 6:30 a.m. Reggie hasn't slept. His wife, Diane, comes downstairs and finds him still sitting at the kitchen table, staring at nothing. "You here?" she asks quietly. He nods. She pours herself coffee. Doesn't ask if he wants any. She knows him well enough to know he won't drink it. "What happens now?" she asks. "I don't know." "You lying to me?" He looks at her. Diane is 31. Sharp. She grew up 3 blocks from where they live now. She knows what Reggie does for a living. She's never asked him to stop. But she's also never pretended it's safe. "I got something to do," Reggie says. "For Bumpy. Bumpy's dead." "I know. So what could he possibly need from you now?" Reggie doesn't answer. Diane sets her mug down. "Reggie. If you're about to do something stupid." "I'm not. If you're about to get yourself killed over a dead man's pride." "I'm not." She stares at him. He can see it in her eyes. She doesn't believe him. "How long?" she asks. 4 days. Just till the funeral. And then? Then it's over. She wants to believe him. He can see that too. "The girls start school next week," she says. "First day of 2nd grade for both of them. You promised you'd be there." "I will. You better be." She leaves the kitchen. He hears her footsteps on the stairs. The bedroom door closes. Reggie stands up. He puts on his jacket. Feels the weight of the envelope in the pocket. He has 72 hours to find 7 men and convince them to attend a funeral they don't want to attend. and he has no idea which one of them is going to try to kill him first. October 30th, 1968. 9:12 p.m. The Red Rooster is closed. The basement entrance is around back, down a narrow alley that smells like rotting fruit and motor oil. Reggie uses the key. The lockbox is exactly where Bumpy said it would be. Behind a false panel in the wall, under a stack of old liquor crates. Inside, the cash. $47,000 in wrapped stacks. All hundreds. In the ledger. Reggie opens it. 7 names. Handwritten. Next to each name, a single sentence. 1. Frank Lucas, knows where the first shipment came from. 2. Stephanie St. Claire, kept the cops off me in '62. 3. Nicky Barnes, I stopped the Italians from killing him in '65. 4. Malcolm Turner, I paid his daughter's hospital bills when she got sick. 5. James Jitty Cole, I got him out of Rikers before they found the weapon. 6. Clarence Hines, covered for him when his brother got shot. 7. Raymond Wade, owes me for the thing we don't talk about. Reggie stares at the list. Some of these men are dangerous. Some are desperate. Some are powerful. And at least one of them, he's sure of it, wants Bumpy's empire for himself. He closes the ledger. Puts it in his jacket next to the envelope. Tomorrow, he starts collecting. And the first name on the list is the one he's most afraid of. Frank Lucas. October 31st, 1968. 10:47 a.m. Frank Lucas doesn't open the door. His bodyguard does. The man is 6'5", 260 pounds, and holding a sawed-off shotgun like it's a newspaper. Frank's not seeing people, the bodyguard says. Reggie keeps his hands visible. Tell him Bumpy sent me. Bumpy's dead. I know. That's why I'm here. The bodyguard stares at him for a long moment. Then he steps back and lets Reggie inside. Frank's apartment in Teaneck is immaculate. Leather furniture. Thick carpet. Expensive art on the walls. This is not the home of a street hustler. This is the home of a businessman. Frank is sitting at the dining room table, eating scrambled eggs and reading the newspaper. He doesn't look up when Reggie walks in. You got 60 seconds, Frank says. Reggie doesn't sit. Bumpy left instructions. You're supposed to be at his funeral. Front row. Left side. Frank keeps reading. I was planning to go anyway. You need to sit with 6 other people. Specific people. Now Frank looks up. Why? I don't know. You don't know, or you won't say. I don't know, Reggie repeats. All I know is Bumpy wanted it done. Frank sets the newspaper down. He picks up his fork, takes another bite of eggs, and chews slowly. Who else is sitting there? Frank asks. Reggie hesitates. Bumpy didn't say he couldn't tell them. But he also didn't say he could. Stephanie St. Clair. Nicky Barnes. Malcolm Turner. Jitty Cole. Clarence Hines. Raymond Wade. Frank's expression doesn't change. But Reggie sees it, just for a second, a flicker of something in his eyes. Surprise. Or maybe recognition. That's an interesting group, Frank says quietly. You know them? I know some of them. Will you sit with them? Frank leans back in his chair. What happens if I don't? Reggie doesn't have an answer for that. Bumpy's letter didn't say. It just said everything falls apart. I don't know, Reggie admits. Frank studies him. You're not lying. You really don't know. No. Then why are you doing this? Because Bumpy asked me to. Frank smiles. It's not a warm smile. Bumpy's dead, Reggie. You don't owe him anything anymore. I owe him everything. The smile fades. Frank stands up. He's shorter than Reggie. Slimmer. But there's something about the way he moves that makes the room feel smaller. I'll be there, Frank says. Front row. Left side. But Reggie, if this is some kind of setup, you're going to die before I do. It's not a setup. You better hope you're right. October 31st, 1968. 2:33 p.m. Stephanie St. Clair is 71 years old and sharper than most men half her age. She lives in a brownstone on Edgecombe Avenue with 2 German shepherds and a loaded .38 in every room. When Reggie knocks, she answers the door herself. I was wondering when you'd show up, she says. Reggie blinks. You were? Bumpy didn't do anything without a plan. And you were always his favorite errand boy. She steps aside. Come in. Her living room smells like lavender and old books. The dogs watch Reggie from the corner, silent and unmoving. Stephanie pours herself a glass of brandy. Doesn't offer him one. You're here to tell me I need to sit somewhere specific at the funeral, she says. Reggie stares at her. How did you? Because I know Bumpy. And I know he wouldn't trust this to just anyone. She sits down in a high-back chair near the window. Who else is on the list? Reggie tells her. Stephanie sips her brandy. Her face gives away nothing. Interesting, she murmurs. Why is everyone saying that? Because it is. She sets the glass down. Do you know what those 7 people have in common, Reggie? Bumpy helped all of them. No. Bumpy owned all of them. Her eyes are cold now. Every single person on that list owes him something they can never repay. A debt so big they'll carry it to their grave. Reggie feels his stomach tighten. What kind of debt? The kind that gets you killed if the wrong person finds out. She stands up. I'll be there. Front row. Left side. But you need to understand something, Reggie. If all 7 of us are in the same room at the same time, someone is going to try to kill someone else. Why? Because one of us is a traitor. Reggie goes still. What? Stephanie walks to the window and looks out at the street below. Bumpy knew. He didn't tell me who. But he knew. And I think that's why he wants us all there. To expose them. To force their hand. She turns back to him. And when that happens, Reggie, you need to be ready. Because whoever it is won't go quietly. October 31st, 1968. 7:18 p.m. Reggie has 3 names left, Nicky Barnes, Malcolm Turner, and Jitty Cole. He's already visited Clarence Hines and Raymond Wade. Both agreed to come. Both look nervous. But it's the next name on the list that's making Reggie's hands sweat. Malcolm Turner. Malcolm is 58 years old. A deacon at Abyssinian Baptist Church. A family man. Clean record. He's also the only person on the list who isn't a criminal. Reggie finds him at his apartment in Sugar Hill. Malcolm answers the door in a cardigan and reading glasses. "Reggie Carter," Malcolm says. His voice is quiet. "Careful. I heard about Bumpy. I'm sorry." "Thank you. What can I do for you?" Reggie explains. Malcolm listens without interrupting. When Reggie finishes, Malcolm is silent for a long time. "I can't," Malcolm finally says. "Why not?" "Because if people see me sitting with those men, they'll ask questions. Questions I can't answer." "Bumpy saved your daughter's life." Malcolm's jaw tightens. "I know what he did." "Then you owe him this." "I owe him everything. But I also owe my family a father who's alive." Malcolm steps closer. His voice drops to a whisper. "Do you know what happens if the church finds out Bumpy paid those hospital bills? Do you know what happens if they find out why he paid them?" Reggie doesn't know. Bumpy's ledger didn't say. "I'll lose everything," Malcolm says. "My job. My reputation. My family. So no, Reggie. I can't sit in that row. I won't." Reggie can see it in his eyes. Malcolm isn't bluffing. And that's when Reggie realizes something. Stephanie was right. One of these 7 people is going to break. And when they do, everything Bumpy built is going to come crashing down. He just doesn't know which one it's going to be. November 1st, 1968. 12:41 a.m. Reggie can't sleep. Malcolm Turner won't come. That means 6 out of 7. And Bumpy's letter was clear: if even one of them doesn't show, everything I built falls apart. Reggie sits at the kitchen table again, staring at the ledger. He's read Malcolm's entry a dozen times now. "I paid his daughter's hospital bills when she got sick." That's it. No details. No explanation of why Bumpy would do that for a deacon. No mention of what Malcolm might have done in return. But Stephanie's words keep echoing in his head: Bumpy owned all of them. What could a deacon possibly owe a gangster? Reggie closes the ledger. He needs to finish the list. Mickey Barnes and J.D. Cole are still out there. He'll deal with Malcolm later. He puts on his jacket and leaves. November 1st, 1968. 2:15 a.m. Mickey Barnes is at a club in the Bronx. Reggie finds him in the back room, playing dice with 4 other men. When Reggie walks in, the game stops. "We're busy," one of the men says. Mickey holds up a hand. "It's all right. I know him." He stands up, pockets his winnings, and walks Reggie into the hallway outside. "Make it quick," Reggie explains. Mickey listens. When Reggie finishes, Mickey laughs. It's not a happy sound. "So Bumpy wants to parade us all out like show dogs," Mickey says. "Even from the grave, he can't help himself." "Will you be there?" "Yeah, I'll be there." Mickey leans against the wall. "But you need to know something, Reggie. That list you're carrying? Those 7 people? We're not all friends." "I know." "No. You don't." Mickey's voice drops. 3 years ago, someone on that list tried to get me killed. Set me up with the Italians. Told them I was moving weight on their turf without permission. It was a lie. But it almost worked. Reggie feels his pulse quicken. "Who?" I don't know. Bumpy never told me. He just said he'd handle it. And he did. The Italians backed off. I stayed alive. Nicky steps closer. But whoever did it is still out there. And if Bumpy's putting us all in the same room, it's because he wants me to figure out who it was. Why would he do that? Because Bumpy loved games. Nicky's eyes are hard. And because he knew that once I figure it out, I'm going to kill them. November 1st, 1968. 4:52 a.m. Chitty Cole is harder to find. Reggie checks 3 addresses before he finally tracks him down at a boarding house in Washington Heights. Chitty answers the door with a gun in his hand. Reggie Carter, Chitty says. He doesn't lower the gun. You here to kill me? No. You sure? I'm sure. Chitty studies him for a moment, then steps aside. The room is small. A bed, a chair, a hot plate. Chitty looks like he hasn't slept in days. I heard about Bumpy, Chitty says. I figured someone would come for me eventually. No one's coming for you. Then why are you here? Reggie explains. Chitty listens without sitting down. When Reggie finishes, Chitty shakes his head. I can't go to that funeral. Why not? Because the weapon Bumpy got rid of? The one that kept me out of prison? Chitty's voice cracks. It didn't just disappear. He gave it to someone else. Someone who's been holding it over my head for 3 years. And if I show up at that funeral, they're going to think I'm there to talk. Who has it? Chitty doesn't answer. Chitty. Who has the weapon? Someone on your list, Chitty whispers. I don't know who. But Bumpy told me once. He said the person who saved me is the same person who could destroy me. He said I'd figure it out eventually. Reggie feels something cold settle in his chest. Stephanie was right. Nicky was right. This isn't just about honoring Bumpy. This is about exposing someone. But who? November 1st, 1968. 9:33 a.m. Reggie goes back to Malcolm Turner's apartment. This time, Malcolm doesn't invite him in. I told you, Malcolm says. I can't do this. I need to know why Bumpy paid those hospital bills, Reggie says. Malcolm's face hardens. That's none of your business. It is now. Because I think Bumpy's funeral isn't about respect. It's about something else. And if you don't tell me what you owe him, someone else is going to get hurt. Malcolm stares at him. For a long moment, Reggie thinks he's going to slam the door. But then Malcolm's shoulders sag. My daughter didn't just get sick, Malcolm says quietly. She overdosed. Heroin. She was 17. The hospital called the police. If they'd filed a report, she would have gone to jail. Her life would have been over. And Bumpy stopped it. Bumpy paid the hospital. Paid the cops. Made it all go away. Malcolm's voice shakes. But he didn't do it for free. He told me I owed him. And one day, he'd collect. What did he ask you to do? Malcolm looks away. He asked me to lie. About what? About where he was the night someone got killed. A man named Vincent DeLuca. Italian. Connected. He was shot outside a bar in 1964. The cops came to me. Asked if I'd seen Bumpy that night. And I told them yes. I told them Bumpy was at a church meeting with me. All night. Reggie's blood goes cold. Was he? Malcolm shakes his head. No. He wasn't. Then where was he? I don't know. But I lied under oath. And if anyone finds out, I go to prison for perjury. Maybe worse. Malcolm's eyes are wet now. So no, Reggie. I can't sit in that row. Because whoever killed Vincent DeLuca is still out there. And if Bumpy's putting us all together, it's because one of us did it. Reggie doesn't move. Because suddenly, everything makes sense. Stephanie, one of us is a traitor. Nikki, someone tried to get me killed. Jitty, someone has the weapon that could destroy me. And now Malcolm, someone killed Vincent DeLuca. This isn't about debts. This is about murder. And Bumpy's funeral isn't a memorial. It's a trap. November 1st, 1968. 11:47 a.m. Reggie goes back to the Red Rooster basement. He opens the ledger again and reads every entry, looking for something he missed. And then he sees it. Next to Raymond Wade's name, owes me for the thing we don't talk about. Reggie never asked Raymond what that meant. He just assumed it was personal. But now he knows. Raymond Wade killed Vincent DeLuca. And Bumpy covered it up. Reggie closes the ledger. His hands are shaking. Because if he brings all 7 people to that funeral, Raymond is going to know. And Raymond is going to run. Or worse, he's going to start killing. But if Reggie doesn't bring them, Bumpy's final plan, whatever it is, falls apart. And Diane's voice echoes in his head, "You promised you'd be there." Reggie has 24 hours until the funeral. And he has no idea what to do. November 2nd, 1968. 8:19 a.m. Reggie doesn't go home. He sits in the Red Rooster basement until dawn, staring at the ledger, trying to figure out what Bumpy wanted. But the more he thinks about it, the less sense it makes. If Raymond Wade killed Vincent DeLuca, why would Bumpy protect him? Why cover it up? Why involve Malcolm Turner, a church deacon, in the lie? Unless it wasn't just about protecting Raymond. Reggie opens the ledger again. He reads Raymond's entry one more time. Owes me for the thing we don't talk about. Not the murder. Not the killing. Not even Vincent DeLuca. The thing we don't talk about. What if Reggie got it wrong? What if Raymond didn't kill Vincent DeLuca? What if someone else did, and Raymond saw it? Reggie grabs the ledger and runs. November 2nd, 1968. 10:06 a.m. Raymond Wade lives in a cramped apartment above a butcher shop on 125th Street. When Reggie knocks, Raymond opens the door halfway, keeping the chain lock on. "I already told you I'd be there," Raymond says. "I need to know what you owe Bumpy for," Reggie says. Raymond's face goes blank. "You don't want to know that." "I do. Because if I don't, someone's going to die today." Raymond stares at him. Then he closes the door, slides the chain off, and opens it again. Inside, the apartment is dark. The curtains are drawn. Raymond sits down on a sagging couch and lights a cigarette. "Vincent DeLuca," Raymond says. "You know who that is?" "I know he got killed in 1964. Raymond nods. "He got killed because he was skimming. Taking money from his own family. The Italians don't forgive that. They sent someone to handle it. Who? Raymond takes a long drag. Frank Lucas. Reggie feels the floor drop out from under him. Frank was working with the Italians back then, Raymond continues. Before he went solo. Before he built his heroin empire. He was just muscle. And the Italians told him to make DeLuca disappear. And you saw it. I was there. Wrong place, wrong time. Frank saw me. I thought he was going to kill me too. Raymond exhales smoke. But Bumpy stepped in. Told Frank I was with him. Told the Italians I was nobody. Made the whole thing go away. And Malcolm Turner? Malcolm gave Frank an alibi. Not Bumpy. Frank. Raymond crushes the cigarette into an ashtray. Malcolm thinks he lied for Bumpy. But he didn't. He lied for Frank. And Frank's been paying him to keep quiet ever since. Reggie's mind is racing. Frank Lucas killed Vincent DeLuca. Malcolm Turner covered for him. Raymond Wade witnessed it. And Bumpy knew everything. Why didn't Bumpy turn Frank in? Reggie asks. Raymond laughs bitterly. Because Bumpy needed Frank. Frank had connections. Frank had ambition. And Bumpy knew that one day, Frank was going to be useful. So he held it over him. For 4 years. Raymond stands up. And now Bumpy's dead. And Frank thinks he's free. But if all 7 of us show up at that funeral, Frank's going to know that Bumpy left something behind. Something that proves what he did. Did he? Raymond looks at Reggie. I don't know. But Frank thinks he did. And that's enough. November 2nd, 1968. 1:42 p.m. Reggie goes to Frank's apartment in Teaneck. The bodyguard doesn't let him in this time. Mr. Lucas is busy, the bodyguard says. Tell him it's about Vincent DeLuca. The bodyguard's expression doesn't change. But Reggie sees his grip tighten on the shotgun. Wait here. The bodyguard disappears inside. Reggie stands on the doorstep, trying to keep his breathing steady. When the door opens again, it's Frank. He's not smiling. Inside, Frank says. Reggie follows him into the apartment. This time, the bodyguard stays in the room. Frank pours himself a drink. Doesn't offer Reggie one. You're a smart man, Reggie, Frank says. Smarter than I gave you credit for. I don't want trouble. Then why are you here? Because I need to know if you're going to show up tomorrow. Frank sips his drink. Why wouldn't I? Because you think Bumpy left evidence. Something that ties you to Vincent DeLuca. Frank sets the glass down. Did he? I don't know. You're lying. I'm not. Bumpy didn't tell me everything. He just told me to get 7 people in that room. Frank walks to the window. He stands there for a long time, looking out at the street below. If I don't show up, Frank says quietly, what happens? Everything falls apart. For who? For everyone. Frank turns around. His eyes are cold. You know what I think, Reggie? I think Bumpy's playing one last game. I think he's betting that one of us is going to crack. That one of us is going to confess. Or run. Or do something stupid. He steps closer. And I think you're the bait. Reggie doesn't move. I'll be there tomorrow, Frank says. Front row. Left side. But Reggie, if this is a setup, you're not walking out of that church. November 2nd, 1968. 6:31 p.m. Reggie goes home. Diane is in the kitchen, making dinner. The girls are doing homework at the table. When they see him, they run over and hug him. He holds them tight. "You okay, Daddy?" one of them asks. "I'm okay, baby." Diane watches from the stove. She doesn't say anything. After the girls go to bed, she sits down across from him. "Tomorrow's the funeral," she says. "I know. And then it's over." Reggie doesn't answer. "Reggie. Look at me." He looks at her. "Are you coming home tomorrow night?" she asks. He wants to say yes. He wants to promise her. But he can't. Because tomorrow, 7 people are going to sit in the front row of Abyssinian Baptist Church. And one of them is going to make a move. And Reggie has no idea if he'll survive it. "I don't know," he says. Diane closes her eyes. When she opens them, they're wet. "Then don't go," she whispers. "I have to." "No. You don't. Bumpy's dead. You don't owe him anything. I owe him everything. You owe your daughters a father." Reggie reaches across the table and takes her hand. "If I don't do this, someone else is going to die. Maybe more than one person. And it'll be my fault." "It's not your fault. It's Bumpy's. Bumpy trusted me." Diane pulls her hand away. "Then Bumpy was a fool." She stands up and walks upstairs. Reggie sits alone at the table. Tomorrow, everything ends. One way or another. November 3rd, 1968. 11:04 a.m. Abyssinian Baptist Church is packed. 5,000 people. Maybe more. The pews are full. The balconies are full. People are standing in the aisles, pressed shoulder to shoulder. Photographers line the back wall. Reporters scribble in notebooks. Politicians sit near the front, wearing somber expressions and expensive suits. Bumpy Johnson's casket sits at the center of the altar, covered in white flowers. Reggie stands near the side entrance, watching. One by one, they arrive. Stephanie St. Claire comes first. She's wearing black from head to toe. She walks slowly, leaning on a cane, but her eyes are sharp. She sits down in the front row, left side. Exactly where Bumpy wanted her. Nicky Barnes comes next. He's wearing a dark suit and sunglasses. He scans the room before sitting down next to Stephanie. His hand stays near his jacket pocket. Clarence Hines and Raymond Wade arrive together. They don't speak to each other. They sit down, leaving space between themselves and the others. Chitty Cole is late. He slips in through a side door, head down, avoiding eye contact. He sits at the far end of the row. Malcolm Turner arrives with his wife. She doesn't know why they're sitting in the front row. Malcolm looks sick. He sits down next to Jitty, hands folded in his lap, staring straight ahead. That's 6. Reggie checks his watch. 11:17 a.m. The service is supposed to start in 13 minutes. Frank Lucas isn't here yet. 11:23 a.m. The pastor steps up to the pulpit. The crowd quiets. Reggie's heart is pounding. Frank isn't coming. And then the door opens. Frank Lucas walks in. Alone. No bodyguard. No entourage. He's wearing a perfectly tailored black suit. His shoes are polished to a mirror shine. He walks down the center aisle slowly, deliberately, making eye contact with no one. He sits down in the front row. Left side. Between Nicky Barnes and Malcolm Turner. All 7 are here. Reggie exhales. The service begins. 11:51 a.m. The pastor talks about Bumpy's life. His charity. His loyalty. His love for Harlem. No one mentions the numbers rackets. The drug trade. The violence. Reggie watches the 7 people in the front row. Stephanie sits perfectly still. Nicky's jaw is clenched. Frank stares at the casket, expressionless. Malcolm is sweating. And then Reggie sees it. Raymond Wade's hand is shaking. Not a lot. Just enough to notice. Reggie's stomach tightens. Something's wrong. 12:14 p.m. The service ends. The crowd begins to file out. But the 7 people in the front row don't move. Stephanie stands first. She walks to the casket, places her hand on it for a moment, then turns and walks toward the side exit. One by one, the others follow. Reggie moves to intercept them. He doesn't know what Bumpy wanted to happen next. The letter didn't say. It just said to get them all here. But as Stephanie reaches the door, a man steps in front of her. He's tall. White. Wearing a dark suit. Reggie doesn't recognize him. Mississippi St. Clair, the man says. I need a moment. Stephanie stops. Who are you? FBI. Special Agent Dawson. He pulls out a badge. I need to ask you and your friends some questions. The room goes silent. Reggie feels his blood turn to ice. Because Bumpy didn't arrange this funeral to honor the dead. He arranged it to bring the FBI right to them. 12:19 p.m. Chaos erupts. Nicky turns and heads for the back exit. 2 agents block his path. Frank doesn't run. He just stands there, staring at Stephanie. You knew, Frank says quietly. Stephanie doesn't answer. You knew this was a setup. I suspected, Stephanie says. Malcolm is hyperventilating. His wife grabs his arm. Malcolm, what's happening? Chitty looks like he's going to be sick. Raymond Wade is the only one who moves. He pulls a gun from his jacket and points it at Frank. This is your fault, Raymond says. His voice is shaking. You killed DeLuca. You dragged all of us into this. Frank doesn't flinch. Put the gun down, Raymond. You're going to pay for what you did. We're all going to pay. And then Reggie hears it. A click. He turns. Malcolm Turner is holding a gun too. A small revolver. His hand is shaking so badly he can barely keep it steady. I'm not going to prison, Malcolm whispers. I'm not losing my family. Malcolm, don't, Reggie says. But Malcolm isn't looking at him. He's looking at Frank. You made me lie, Malcolm says. You destroyed my life. Frank's expression hardens. I saved your daughter's life. You ruined it. She's still using. She's still sick. And it's because of you. Malcolm. Malcolm pulls the trigger. The shot echoes through the church. Frank stumbles backward. Blood spreads across his white shirt. The FBI agents draw their weapons. People scream. The crowd stampedes toward the exits. Raymond fires at Malcolm. Misses. Hits a stained glass window. Glass explodes. Nicky pulls his own gun and fires twice. One agent goes down. The other returns fire. Reggie drops to the floor. And in the chaos, he sees Stephanie St. Clair walk calmly out the side door, unbothered, untouched. She knew this would happen. Bumpy told her. And she let it happen anyway. 12:24 p.m. The shooting stops. Raymond Wade is dead. Shot 3 times by the FBI. Malcolm Turner is on the ground, hands over his head, sobbing. Nicky Barnes is in handcuffs, bleeding from a shoulder wound. Frank Lucas is still alive. Barely. Paramedics are working on him. Ginny Cole and Clarence Hines are both in custody. And Reggie is sitting on the floor, covered in dust and broken glass, staring at the casket. Bumpy's casket. Still and silent at the center of it all. November 3rd, 1968. 9:47 p.m. Reggie sits at his kitchen table. The envelope is in front of him. Bumpy's letter. The ledger. The key. Diane is upstairs with the girls. She hasn't spoken to him since he got home. The news is calling it a massacre. 3 dead. 5 arrested. The FBI is calling it the biggest organized crime bust in Harlem's history. Frank Lucas survived. He's in surgery. They're saying he'll live long enough to stand trial. Malcolm Turner is in custody. He's confessed to everything. The lie. The cover-up. The shooting. Nicky Barnes, Ginny Cole, and Clarence Hines are all facing federal charges. Stephanie St. Clair was questioned and released. No evidence. No charges. And Reggie was let go after 2 hours of interrogation. Because nobody could prove he knew what was going to happen. But he did know. Not the details. Not the FBI. Not the shooting. But he knew Bumpy was setting something in motion. And he did it anyway. Reggie opens the envelope one last time. At the bottom of Bumpy's letter, there's a line he didn't notice before. Written in smaller handwriting, almost like an afterthought. If you're reading this again, it means it worked. You did good, Reggie. Now take the money and disappear. They'll come for you eventually. Don't be there when they do. Reggie looks at the $47,000 still sitting in the Red Rooster basement. Enough to start over. Enough to take Diane and the girls somewhere far away. Enough to run. But he doesn't move. Because he's thinking about Malcolm Turner. About Raymond Wade. About all of them sitting in that front row, believing they were there to honor a dead man. They weren't. They were there to destroy each other. And Bumpy knew it from the beginning, November 4th, 1968. 7:32 a.m. Reggie walks his daughters to school. First day of 2nd grade. He holds their hands. They talk about their new teachers, their new classmates, the lunches Diane packed for them. They don't know what happened yesterday. Diane made sure of that. At the school gates, They hug him and run inside. Reggie watches them disappear into the building. Then he walks back home. Diane is waiting for him in the kitchen. "What are you going to do?" she asks. "I don't know." "The money. You could take it." "I could. But you won't." Reggie sits down. "If I take it, I'm just like them. I'm just another man Bumpy owned." Diane is quiet for a long time. "Then what?" she finally asks. "Then I burn the ledger. I throw the key in the river. And I forget any of this ever happened." "You think that'll work?" "No," Reggie says. "But I'm going to try." Diane reaches across the table and takes his hand. "Okay," she says. November 10th, 1968. Frank Lucas dies in the hospital from complications during surgery. The funeral is small. Quiet. 15 people. No front row seating arrangements. No FBI. No chaos. Just a man in a casket, and the people who couldn't stay away. Reggie doesn't attend. But Stephanie St. Clair does. She stands at the grave as they lower Frank into the ground. And when everyone else leaves, she stays. She reaches into her purse and pulls out an envelope. Inside is a single photograph. Frank Lucas. Vincent DeLuca. 1964, standing outside the bar where DeLuca was killed. Bumpy took the photograph. And he gave it to Stephanie 3 years ago with one instruction: if I die, make sure Frank goes down with me. Stephanie tears the photograph in half. Then she drops it into the grave. "You always were a bastard, Bumpy," she whispers. And then she walks away. Did Bumpy win even in death? Or did everyone lose? Drop your theory below. And if you want more untold stories from Harlem's underworld, hit subscribe. This is just the beginning. End.